Hey guys, it's Cody, coming to you from Act 1010. We're going to talk about two things tonight. We're going to talk about three-way stopcocks, what we should be using them for and how to use them, and then how to do a push-pull bolus through a three-way stopcock for our pediatric patients. So first we'll just talk about the three-way stopcock. We keep these in our IV drawer to be able to get them quickly. You just open them up. Inside, you're going to find a three-way connector. You have a lever here that spins around. This is your on and off. Instead of trying to remember which way is on, if you remember which way is off, it's a lot simpler. Remember that this is always off. This piece is always off. So if this way is off, this port's off. If it's this way, this is off. If it's this way, this is off, but these two are open. And it's a lot more easily remembered if you just remember which way is off than try to remember which way is on. So if we take these caps off, we have a male port on this side. We have a female port on this side and a female port on this side. And those will be important when we go to hook this up to our 60cc syringe and our IV tubing to do our push-pull boluses. So we've gotten this out. You now know how to use the three-way stopcock. So we're going to set this down for a minute. In order to do a push-pull bolus on a pediatric patient, you need three things. You need your 60cc syringe, or the largest syringe you have. 60s are easiest, and we'll touch on that in a minute why. Your fluids, we should be using normal saline for our boluses, and then just your standard IV tubing. So we're going to start this like we would any other IV bolus for a patient. We're going to get our tubing out. We're going to get our saline out. And we're going to spike these two things just like we normally would. Fill up our drip chamber, and then let it run through and flush the rest of our line. And while we're doing that, remember we're always going to clean up after ourselves. Nice little trash bag. So this looks like it's flushed. So now normally we would take this at this point and we would hook this up directly to our patient. But for our pediatric patients, we don't want to do that because if this would get left open or rolled open, 1,000 mLs could really do some damage to a small child. So we're going to take this off and we're going to hook it up to our female port on the side. So we're going to hook it up here. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to close it to the male port, and we're going to open this just a second to let this flush. And then we're going to close it to the female port, so it's open to the male port. We're going to open it just for a second, just to let it flush. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to simulate, this is our patient here, we're going to hook this up to our patient's standard IV extension. So now you're good to go. We're closed to the IV bag. We're open to our port here on the side, and our patient side is open. Next, you're going to take your syringe. If you have a 30 or a 20, a 60 works best, and this is why. So if I have a 60cc syringe, and I'm going to do my 20 per kilo bolus. If I have a kid that weighs 20 kilos, and I'm going to do 20 per kilo, that's 400 mLs total. So the first thing everybody does is they drop 60 mLs of saline and they push it in, and then they draw it back up, and then they forget where they are. Instead of drawing up 60, we're only going to drop 50. It's easier to count 50s than it is 60s. So you know 2 is 100, 4 is 200, so on and so forth. So we're going to hook this up to our side port here. And now we're going to close this to the patient. And we're going to open our IV bag. And then we're just going to draw back till we get 50 mLs of normal saline. So there's our 50. We're then going to spin this so it's close to the IV bag. And then we're just simply going to push this. We don't want to pound it because we don't want to infiltrate our IV. We're just going to push it at a nice and steady rate into the patient. So we're going to push this all the way through. Once we've pushed this in all the way, you're just going to simply repeat the process until you've gotten your desired amount in. What I like to do is I take a Sharpie and I make little tally marks on the sheet so I know how many 50s I've pushed in, just so that helps me keep track of what I'm doing. The reason we want to do this versus just opening this up and watching it is we can get a lot more accurate volume. We know we're not underdosing the kid. We know we're not going to over-bolus them by accident. And also it's going to get into them a lot faster. Pediatric patients respond very well to the push-pull boluses, and they're pretty simple to do once you know how to use the three-way stopcock and how all of this goes together. So once again, if you guys have any questions, let us know. We'll help you out however we can. And thanks for watching.